So instead of getting a Ram 3500, I could always just install this Ram bed on the back of my truck. That way I'll have the best of both worlds, right? So hey guys, we're out here at the Fifth Wheel today, and what I wanted to talk about were tires. I want to give you my recommendation on how you rotate them, as well as some basic recommendations when it comes to inflating and deflating them. So we have my truck right here, and the first thing I want to talk about is pickup trucks or Class C motorhomes that have dually rear tires. One of the things that I want you to keep in mind is you can't rotate them in a similar fashion that you might rotate a car for a number of different reasons. First of all, if you notice the outside wheel, the wheels that you look at on the sides are aluminum. On the back inner wheel here, it's actually a steel wheel. Let me get under there so you can see. So you can see that it's a steel wheel right there where it's an Alcoa aluminum wheel right here. The recommended way of rotating these wheels would be to move the front one here to the back outer to the inner, the back inner to the front. So it's basically a circle on each side. And to do that, if you think about it, you have to dismount your tires and move them to different rims, mainly because you can't simply put that front wheel where this outer wheel is, so you'd have to really dismount and move your tires around. So what a lot of people do instead is, first of all, check to make sure your tires are wearing evenly. If they're wearing evenly, you have some more flexibility to really move your tires around in a fashion that is more convenient and at the same time less labor intensive and less costly. So for instance, what I do is I'll take the front tires off here, and I'll move this front passenger side tire to the outer tire on the back of the other side, of the driver's side. So the front passenger tire to the rear outer tire on the driver's side, the front driver's side to the rear outer tire over here, simply because you can directly bolt it up. You don't have to do anything special. And then have the inner tires actually demounted and changed. You take the inner tire from both sides, dismount them from the rim, and swap them over side to side. If you do it that way, you're only paying to have 2 tires dismounted as opposed to all 6 tires dismounted. And you still get the ability to make sure that all your tires are wearing evenly. So the ideal way to do it would be in a circle fashion, where you're simply taking your tires and circulating them like this, outer to outer, inner to front. So front to outer, outer to inner, inner to front on each side. But again, that requires you dismounting and removing the tires and putting them on different rims for all your tires, all 6 tires. The way I do it, front driver's side to rear passenger outer side, front passenger side to rear driver outer side, and then dismount the 2 inner tires and swap them. So I hope that helps, and might make things a little bit more simpler to understand when it comes to rotating tires on a dually truck. A lot of people just never rotate them, and that's fine as long as they're wearing evenly. Another reason why you may not want to rotate them is in many dually applications, you may have a different type of tire on the back than you have on the front, or what you call a drive tire and a steer tire. Your drive tire on the back in some cases isn't going to have a solid edge like this. It's going to be broken apart to give you more traction for the back, whereas the front tires might have that solid edge for steering. So you want to keep in mind what type of tires you have as well, because that can also be a factor to understand. Now let's talk about inflation. So if you're going to be inflating the front tire on a dually, you should have your normal valve stem that sticks right off the side, and you can inflate that normally, no problems there. The only difference is your PSI. You're probably going to be in the 80 to 110 PSI up front on a dually application. Or on the back, it could differ. It could be higher than the front. It just really depends. On your larger motorhomes, like Class Cs and some Class As, you really want to pay attention to what the manufacturer says you need to do as far as PSIs for both the front and the rear, because in some cases they can vary drastically. Now your dually wheels on the back are where things can get a little bit more complicated, mainly because if you look at the valve stem on the outer wheel curves in, and on the inner wheel it curves out. So if you think about it, this wheel right here is simply an inverse version of the front wheel. If you flip this around and you put it on the front, then this would be sticking out so you can put air in it. So to air up a tire like this, you need to have a air chuck that has a reverse nozzle and a forward-facing nozzle. The reverse nozzle you'd hook around and pull, and it would fill up this tire, and you'd push in on the other one to fill up the other tire. Now, what you want to keep in mind is they make some aftermarket additions that make filling up dually tires simpler. And what it does is you can either get a plastic or a steel extension that comes off of this valve stem, loops it around, and gives you the ability to air it up with a traditional air chuck. The problem with that is when you are trying to save money and you choose a rubber hose extension or a steel hose extension. You only want to use steel, and you want to make sure that it's a new extension every time you change your tires. Some tire companies won't warranty your tires if you don't put a new extension on. The rubber ones can become problematic when you go over rough roads or roads that have a lot of bouncing or vibration to them, because it can cause that rubber to bang up against the inside of the wheel, and it can tear those rubber hoses. That actually just happened to my father's Class A diesel pusher. They were driving over Louisiana roads and they had a rubber extension, and that rubber extension was banging on the inside of the rim. It tore it loose and they started losing air from their dually tires. So you definitely want to stay away from the rubber extensions. Only go with the steel extensions, and if you plan on swapping your tires out to new tires, only put brand new steel extensions on if you're going to be doing it that way. And when it comes to your trailer tires, whether it's a fifth wheel or a travel trailer, it's not so important to rotate them as it is just to inspect that they're wearing correctly. Of course, depending on how you're turning at different angles, your tire can either camber in or out. And what you want to keep an eye on is the flat surface of your tire, and that you're not getting uneven wear on one side versus another side. That can indicate several different things. It can indicate an excess load on your axles, which makes your axle bow in and the tire bow out slightly, which would give you a wear on the inside. It can also indicate inflation or deflation issues where you don't have enough pressure or you're overinflated. But what you really want to keep an eye on is just that everything's wearing evenly on the tires. If you do rotate them, if you have a rib style tire, it's not so important that you have it facing any one direction, but most people will simply rotate them front to back. They'll simply move the back tire to the front tire to the back, and that's the same on the other side. You can rotate them in a cross platform. You can rotate it so this tire comes up here, this tire goes on the other side, and kind of makes a circle like that if you'd like. You can do crossways if you'd like, but the reality behind it is you really don't have to focus on rotating travel trailer and fifth wheel tires like you do your tow vehicle. Just pay attention again to the surface to make sure that there's no uneven wear. So guys, I hope this has been an informative video. I wanted to stick to the topic of tires and wheels and rotation. I hope this helps you guys at least understand the process a little bit more. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment field below. If you like my channel, please like and subscribe. Thanks everyone.